that due to increasing borrowing and massive corruption, Kenyans are still optimistic that the new financial year 2019-2020 will bring forth notable changes in the infrastructure sector. Worth noting is the fact that a number of government projects, including roads that have been budgeted for in the previous financial year, are still classified as understalled.
We need to address the supply chain for housing. That is the materials, the cement, the iron sheets. All that supply chain has to be rethought.
The urban areas of Kenya have a housing gap of 2 million units. As yet, only 26,000 Kenyans have invested in mortgage in an economy base that is said could support 2 million mortgages in an year. Kenyans still live in unplanned urban settlements. For affordable housing, the budget allocation 2018 and 19, 6 billion shillings to enablers of the agenda. 3 trillion shillings awarded by investors cutting across World Bank, African Development Bank, International Monetary Fund and private investments. In his State of the Nation address, President Uhuru Kenyatta announced that his administration is determined to build 200,000 houses by the end of 2019 to catch up to the previous target by 2022.
It has to be customer driven. What does the customer want? And then once we now sit down and design what the customer wants, then we put the money. We run the risk of building houses and then nobody occupies.
Possibly, how is the housing and the real estate development struggling so as not to develop so far?
In my view, we can actually modernize our slums at a very low cost, so long as we have proper sanitary disposal systems in place, access to water, and public utilities like schools. We can actually modernize our slums if we redesign.
Is the increase of housing funds the key to achieve affordable housing? Moving on to manufacturing, the sector too will have an increase in funds. The budget 2018-2019, it was allocated 24.4 billion shillings to enablers. In the budget 2019-2020 estimates, it will be allocated 96.6 billion to the enablers. Responding to calls from businessmen whose goods were stuck in ports and container depots, the president on Madaraka Day halted the inspection of containers in addition to curbing tax cheats in the country.
The cost of energy is still high. You're talking about us selling energy at 11 US cents. Our competing countries like Egypt are probably selling to manufacturers at around 3 US cents, subsidized. You can't compete.
As lucrative as the steps have been, Kenya Economic Survey statistics show job creation has reduced by 50,000. How could this trend be offset? This is despite the influx of Chinese goods and officials in the country.
A lot of these things require time, planning, and execution. What's probably the president meant is to set a good foundation, a good start.
After approving a 70 billion shilling loan to Kenya, World Bank states proper planning and implementation of policy, reduced corruption, and fair and competitive business environment will improve the country's economic growth rate. Christine Kamal, KUTV.